Facebook's chief executive Mark Zuckerberg and several banks led by Morgan Stanley are facing a lawsuit. Shareholders claim that during the IPO marketing process, the defendants concealed from investors a severe and pronounced reduction in Facebook revenue growth forecasts. For more on this, we're joined on the line from Durban by Stafford Marcy, independent tech entrepreneur. Stafford, thanks very much. This is obviously one of the lead stories of the day. Can you give me the lowdown here? What is actually afoot?
Well, I think the way the story goes at the moment and what we know is that institutional investors, some of them were told by Facebook themselves that the price-to-earnings ratio, the general forecast of revenue, was way overvalued simply because Facebook has challenges. And those challenges are associated with more and more Facebook users are accessing the site, that social container, via mobile device. They're doing it from their smartphones. They're doing it from their iPads. And if you notice when you access Facebook off your smartphone or your iPad, you never see ads. So that's a big challenge. As more and more users adopt it in that way. And generally, Facebook has had huge challenges associated with its advertising revenue. Just a couple of days ago, General Motors pulled out of Facebook. That was $10 to $15 million worth of advertising that got pulled out. And General Motors said that they just didn't see the return on the spend, simply because it's not like Google. You know, if you put a search string or a few words into a Google search box, that's very, very targeted, very, very relevant. To dredge a social graph inside of Facebook and display relevant ads is really, really difficult. I mean, if you go into Facebook, you can see the ads have absolutely no correlation to what you're looking at. So generally, revenue generation by this company traditionally has been advertising. Moving forward, it's going to be a challenge because these are two big things. Now we've found out.
Well, Stafford, I want to jump in here. What's going to happen to this share price? I mean, is this now going to be the biggest calamity in history from being the most successful IPO?
But perhaps. You know, this is bad because Zuckerberg's being sued. You know, Facebook itself is being sued, and Morgan Stanley may be liable. And this is a big one. And if that's the case, we could see some huge ramifications. Now, maybe it's a storm in a teacup, and I think there's so much negativity associated with the stock overall. I don't know if it's going to plummet much further. I mean, it's really at a low at the moment. But, yeah, we'll see. It's a wait-and-see game now. I think we're scratching the tip of an iceberg, considering the stuff that we're hearing through yesterday and today.
Stafford, Mohammed Nali, just a quick question. I mean, the stock is down in excess of 25% as we stand today and trending lower. All of these headwinds. How do you see, I mean, is it possible for Facebook to change the game? Is it possible for them to review their business model? Because, I mean, lots of questions pre-IPO in terms of sustainability of this business model. It got really, really frothy. How do you see that playing out in terms of any structural changes coming from the company?
Well, I think, you know, what I'm concerned about, let me just preface before I answer that explicitly, what I'm concerned about, a lot of the options that were allocated to Facebook employees, we're still within that 90-day period where they aren't able to exercise them. So the question will be, once they're able to exercise them, what did they get those stock options at, and how will that affect the stock, negative or positive? No one really knows that either. But in terms of the company, I'm very bullish about the company. I think this is a huge amount of negativity. It's going to affect the stock, definitely. But in the long run, I think Facebook, if you have $1 billion of anything, you've got something extremely valuable. This is not like MySpace. You know, MySpace had 50 to 60 million users. Mark has 900 million users more. And I believe, you know, I met Mark last year, had a couple of chats to him, and you know, it's not that I know this or anything, but I believe if they're going to execute, it's inevitable that Mark, considering the challenges with mobile, will release the Facebook phone. I think this year into Q1 of next year, Facebook could very easily release a physical mobile device, just like Apple, have an operating system that is theirs on the device, a derivative of Android, and link that to the Apple App Store or to the Facebook App Store, which they've launched already.
Stafford, we've got one more. We're running out of time. We've got one more question from Chris in studio. Yeah. He's got a burning question for you.
Just Chris Hart, what's the bottom line? At what level is this a buy in these circumstances? Markets are plummeting and there's doubts. What level would you actually say is a decent buy?
Okay, because we don't know everything or we don't know all the detail, I don't think there's a specific number. I think we should just step back. If you were going to invest right now, I'd say pause, let the story roll through this week. When you see stability, and we finally see the stock not plummeting the way it is, but it finally hits a couple of days of stability, perhaps a week, I would consider it a buy. I mean, I'm actually waiting for that. I think once it hits some stability, we have a week where we don't have these massive stories leaking. I'm definitely jumping in. I mean, this is a good company. It's run by a guy that's very, very focused. He knows what he's going to do, and he has 1 billion people accessing a platform.
Stafford, I expect you to phone me when you decide to buy, and I'm going to relate that to our viewers. Stafford Marcy, independent tech entrepreneur, joining us. Thank you very much for your time.